Welcome to Jesse Waters Primetime tonight.
You wait till there's a minute left in the game to make a call like that, to take away greatness like that. It's just tough to swallow.
What do Patrick Mahomes and Hunter Biden have in common? Mike the Situation tells us.
It could have been a matter of seconds before the house was engulfed in flames.
A black woman tries to burn down Martin Luther King's home. This couldn't be a hoax, could it?
And the truth is, there is no higher calling than being a wife and a mother for a woman.
Traditional housewives are making a comeback. Plus,
if you leave your treats out, you leave your cookies out, yo, leave Santa a margarita.
Last night's game between the Kansas City Chiefs and the Buffalo Bills was a classic. With about a minute left, Kansas City was down 3 and driving, and then this happened.
Back consistently. Here they come again. There's a flag down at the line of scrimmage as the pass is to an open Travis Kelce, who flings it back over to Tony. My goodness, this is going for a touchdown. Hey, I can't believe it.
Offside, number 19, offense, lined up in the neutral zone. Wow. 5-yard penalty. Check it out.
One of the greatest plays in NFL history was called back because the Chiefs receiver lined up in the neutral zone. He did. Chiefs quarterback Patrick Mahomes lost it. He's not used to having calls go against him, so he threw a tantrum. I've never seen Mahomes behave like that. He usually gets all the calls, that's why. So he lost his mind.
It's tough because regardless if we win or lose, man, just for it to end up with another game and we're talking about the refs, man, it's just not what we want for the NFL and for football. Let us play, man. Like, let us play the game. And then whatever happens. Like, the whole throwing the flag and deciding the game one or another, that's what hurts me.
Oh, now all of a sudden, it's let us play? Come on. When the officials make the right call that he doesn't like, then the refs decide the games? Did he forget the Super Bowl? When the refs threw a flag on the Eagles in the end zone? Almost. The phantom holding call that cost us the game? The refs literally gave the Chiefs the Super Bowl. And the Kansas City guys, I mean, they're used to getting help from the refs. Remember the late hit call against the Bengals in the championship game in January? The Eagles should have been playing Cincinnati. And this year, the Chiefs would have lost to the Jets if it wasn't for a bailout pass interference call. I could do this all day. So the one time the refs get the call right, Mahomes throws a hissy fit, and he starts castigating the very people who've been protecting him his whole career. Mahomes is Hunter Biden with pads on. The FBI, IRS, the CIA, the Secret Service have been bailing out Hunter for a decade. They let him skate on felonies, tipped him off to raids, pulled his guns out of dumpsters, lied about his laptop, walled off investigations so his dad didn't get in trouble. Permanent Washington has coddled Hunter and the entire Biden clan for years. But now that special counsel David Weiss slapped Hunter with 9 tax charges, instead of the litany of things he could have been charged with, money laundering, racketeering, bribery, kickback, sex trafficking, Hunter's lawyers say Hunter is the victim. And they're throwing tantrums like Mahomes.
The U.S. Attorney's Office knew over 5 years what had happened with his lateness, why he was, as everybody knows, at the bottom of the barrel of his addiction to crack cocaine, which explains a lot of his misconduct, and also addresses whether he was in what they call a scheme as opposed to just being at the dullest part of addiction. It's because his last name is Biden, but it's not like they're going after, some distant cousin. It's because he is the son of the president who's named Biden.
Oh, there you go. Lawyers lying on TV again. Hunter said himself he's been sober since June 2019. So you can't blame crack for tax fraud in 2020. For years, Democrats have been calling you deplorable. But Hunter Biden is the biggest deplorable in America. Hunter was stiffing his ex-wife with alimony and his baby mama with child support payments, which he said he didn't have enough money for. But Hunter was partying like a rock star, not at a Motel 8, at America's finest hotels. spending obscene amounts of bribe money on hookers and drugs. You can't blame crack for cheating on your taxes for 4 years. He wasn't high for 4 years straight. No one's high for 4 years straight. And because when he was sober, he was emailing his assistant to pay off his boat loan and Venmo strippers. Hunter spent nearly $1 million on strippers. He spent 20 grand on porn. Porn's free. Everybody knew this. Joe Biden knew it, the CIA did, the FBI, the IRS knew it, China knew it, Ukraine knew where the money was going. Was Hunter high on crack when he wired 10 grand to a sex club and then deducted it as a business expense? Special prosecutor Dave Weiss writes in the indictment, quote, the defendant claimed business expenses, including approximately 388 grand in business-related travel, despite having done little or no business in that year. All right, so the special counsel said Hunter didn't do any business in 2018, but got paid $2.1 million. So the special counsel is charging Hunter for not paying taxes on bribes. Professor Turley had a great line. It's like arresting a bank robber for speeding away from the crime scene without mentioning why he was speeding or where he was coming from. What a ridiculous way to keep President Biden out of trouble. We caught your family taking bribes, Mr. President, but he didn't pay taxes on the bribes, which is against the law. Don't worry about the bribery thing, we'll handle it. Hunter was also paying fake wages to women he was having sex with and then writing it off as a business expense. Say what you want about the Bidens, they can really create jobs. And then for 4 years, Hunter withdrew $1.6 million in cash from ATMs. Has anybody checked President Biden's safe in Rehoboth? They rummaged through Melania's underwear drawer, but $1.5 million cash went missing and no one's curious if it's sewn up into one of Joe Biden's windbreakers like Gold Bar Bob? Foreign nationals are wiring millions of dollars to the Biden family, and the Biden family is making millions in cash withdrawals, and no one wonders if the president has cash in his drawers? No one. Peek? The president's deplorable son is making a mockery out of you. The president claims he's fighting for the middle class, claims he was the poorest man in Congress. His son is living at luxury hotels, $1,000 a night. Hunter's hookers were ordering Dom Perignon, filet mignon. One of his women ordered a $50 filet for her dog. So Hunter's staying at the fanciest hotels in America, paying sex traffickers to send him women, stiffing his kids and his ex-wife, cheating on his taxes, and he's partying like he's the Super Bowl MVP. He doesn't blame himself. Of course, it's the Russians and the Republicans' fault.
This whole idea that this may not in every aspect be a Russian disinformation campaign, but it has literally every earmark of what the Russians did. What they're trying to do is they're trying to kill me, knowing that it will be a pain greater than my father could be able to handle.
He just repeated the letter that the CIA agent signed that has all the earmarks of a Russian disinformation. It's like 4 years later. He's still using the fake letter from the 51 agents. So this dirtbag thinks he's a martyr. He's just an addict suffering from addiction like everybody else. He's not like everybody else. He's a spoiled brat who went on a 4-year bender because he didn't want to grow up. And he didn't have to grow up because no one ever held him accountable. Not his dad, not law enforcement, definitely not the press. Hunter likes drugs. It's that simple. He likes prostitutes. People can kick the habit. They do it every day. He didn't have the discipline or have to face the consequences like everyone else. And the Democrats are using this as an excuse to cover up the biggest bribery scandal in American history. And Hunter's rotten to the core. He didn't turn into an angel after he quit crack. He's still evading taxes. He was still dodging child support. He's still lying to everybody. He never even paid his taxes back. A Democrat donor did. Rich Democrat Kevin Morris paid off Hunter's taxes. So you can take bribes, not pay taxes on them, and have your dad's donors pay it off? Since when? So when Trump is reelected, his family could take bribes, cheat the IRS, and have Republican donors pay their back taxes? That's how this works now, right? It's an illegal campaign contribution. It's another thing they aren't charging just to protect Joe. Because remember, this has nothing to do with Joe Biden.
There are a lot of people in this country who have children who have fallen to addiction, and despite 2 years of effort, there's been no success in linking Biden to any wrongdoing by Hunter Biden.
That link has not been drawn yet.
No, it hasn't. There's yet to be any evidence that President Biden had anything to do with the criminal charges his son now faces.
So you're watching the media brainwash America. This is how it's done. They just repeat the same thing. No evidence, no evidence, no evidence. They can't argue the facts. They just deny, deny, deny. They want you to feel bad for Joe Biden for raising such a deplorable son.
You have to remember, anyone who knows Joe Biden, I think, knows that he responds to all of this as a father first and not as a politician. And Joe Biden is devoted to his son, Hunter. He was by his side as he fought this horrific addiction. And I think it's hard not to think that he must be concerned about what this spotlight now may do for his son's, continued recovery.
Garbage. A good dad wouldn't have covered up the cocaine at the White House. Only a politician would have done that. Always remember, while Joe Biden was raising a deplorable, lying, scheming cheat who he dangled around the globe for cash, knowing he was consuming narcotics, he calls you racist. He calls you an extremist. He calls you unpatriotic. And he calls you a Neanderthal. Who's the Neanderthal? And remember what came out of the president's mouth.
I hope my grandkids grow up to don't listen to their parents who all decided to do something, run the World Food Program, run another one be Attorney General, another one run a social organization for at-risk youth. They got all this education, and at least, I should have had a Republican kid. So when they put me in a home, I'd have a window with a view. You know what I mean? But now there's going to be no view.
Must be a nice view. Don't worry about that. Here now, Jersey Shore's Mike the Situation Sorrentino. He's the author of Reality Check, Making the Best of the Situation, How I Overcame Addiction, Loss, and Prison. So, Mike, what were you addicted to?
Pretty much everything, but I think it was just excess, a life of excess that most people can't escape from.
So, pills, blow, alcohol?
I guess you could say my drug of choice was oxycodone and some cocaine, but at the end of the day, it was really just excess, a life of excess parties, excess women, excess money, people never saying no to me. And once you have that type of, or you live that type of lifestyle, it's hard to escape.
What's it like when nobody says no to you? Because people say no to me all day. My mom, my dad, my wife, my producers, everybody's always saying no. What is it like to not have that?
I guess it breeds more excess, and then sometimes you become uncontrollable.
So you were uncontrollable and you didn't pay taxes. How much did you owe the IRS?
I think in the neighborhood of close to 10 million they were seeking. But it stemmed from just my carelessness, my recklessness, and a year prior, I didn't even have to file because I was a young kid not making any money. And then the next year I was making close to $5 million. And what comes with that amount of money, it comes a lot of responsibility that I just wasn't ready for. And eventually that bad decision of not filing would end up haunting me for about 10 to 15 years.
I'm not comparing you to Hunter Biden. He's like a 50-year-old man. I compare him to Patrick MaHomes for just whining the whole time. So you came into a lot of money fast. You were really young, and you didn't know you had to pay taxes. No one told you you had to pay taxes. What were those conversations like?
No. On the first page of the book, if you read the book, I had just become a multimillionaire. I had the Ferrari outside. I had just made about $5 million the year before. I didn't have to file because I didn't make enough money. I was sitting on my family's couch. My mom was making Christmas dinner, shrimp oreganata, and I'll be honest with you, I was very high. And my brother, who was my manager, came up to me and he's like, "Listen, we got to file, man. You made $5 million. And I kind of hesitated and I was like, oh man. He's like, "Or we can get him next year." And I was like, let's get him next year. And that one decision, like I just said, haunted me for about 15 years.
Sure. And Hunter did the same thing. He said, we'll do it next year. You know, all of a sudden, 4 or 5 years go by, and you owe Uncle Sam millions of dollars. Now, you had to go to prison. I don't think Hunter's probably going to go to prison. He'll probably get pardoned or get a sweetheart deal. Do you feel any sort of animosity there about the double standard?
I'll be honest with you, I really can't compare us. I mean, we lived 2 different lives. I mean, Uncle Sam came knocking about 3 years later. And that case lasted many, many years. I think I spent over $1 million on lawyers trying to defend the case. Eventually, I pled to 1 count of tax evasion, which the plea bargain had me in a zone 11, which allowed me to have probation and community service and worst case jail. And I had no priors. So we were celebrating when this happened. And then next thing you know it, on the day of sentencing, they threw the book at me, and I just had to be accountable and accept it. I mean, again, I wouldn't be the man I am today if I didn't make those mistakes. But again, I can't compare myself to another man.
And you didn't have some rich donor paying your back taxes to the IRS. That usually helpful. No. All right, go check out Mike's book. Everybody needs to read it, and if you can, try his mom's shrimp oregano. It's absolutely incredible. Reality check, Mike the Situation. Thanks so much.
Thank you.
A black woman just tried to burn down MLK Jr.'s house, and we think we know why.